So all the cooking and all today evening,
No,
partly
tomorrow morning. Tomorrow
tomorrow
morning.
morning. Yes.
Tomorrow morning holiday for us. Tomorrow holiday for us. Working holiday.
Hmm.
We are live now. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Good, good afternoon, all.
I think we should start.
Yes, Kalyani, please start.
Good afternoon, all. I welcome you all to the inauguration of International Adolescent Health Week 2023 at Adolescent Health Academy Navi Mumbai and IIP Navi Mumbai. We have actually already started the celebrations by announcing two very unique competitions for adolescents. As this year's theme was with and for adolescents and building a healthier and inclusive future, we wanted more and more participation from our adolescent in this week. So what we did, what we announced two competitions, one of which was short video competition on positive self-talk and one essay competition on peer pressure. In spite of having exams during these days, we still have got a very good response, and the entries are from all over India and few are from abroad also. So we are quite excited about it. Also, on first day of International Adolescent Health Week, we released a short film which was prepared by the teens for the teens, and it is also receiving a lot of applause from India all over and also abroad. So we are excited to go ahead in this week, and today we formally inaugurate in presence of our esteemed uh, President Dr. Upendra Kinjwalkar sir. I request sir to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Kalyani, and respected my colleagues here, Dr. Satish Shane, Dr. Shilpa Aroskar, Dr. Geeta Patil, madam, and all those who have joined. I'm on mobile, so I can't see everybody over here. Dr. Mangai, I can see Dr. Amog, and of course, the EB member, Dr. Jitendra Gavane. So I'm sure most of you will join soon. So this is a great way to begin Adolescent Health Week, and as a wonderful tagline, with and for adolescent. I think we have to literally from home to our office. I think we have to be with them, and we have to, our every action should be for them. I think if even if we do that, I think every adolescent would be very happy. A word for all those who have logged in today to please watch a wonderful video which was released just a couple of days ago by our Navi Mumbai teens. I'm not talking just because I belong to Navi Mumbai place, but I just sincerely, impartially just watched that video prepared by young kids and actually edited, prepared, thought of, and actually acted also. So this is, I think, for the first time I've come across such a video in this country, and it's a master class. So please do watch it and gives a very strong message wonderfully. So that would be one thing, and I'm really happy, Dr. Kalyani, to hear about the essay competition and the other things which are happening, and looking forward to the best essays that win the prizes. Of course, all are important, but then some wonderful thoughts would be definitely coming from the teens when they write for themselves. So I'm sure this week is going to be great. We are going to have multiple activities, and wishing all your future endeavors the best. So Central IP is always with every adolescent, and of course with all our chapters also. Thank you so much for your kind invitation and best wishes.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words and appreciating our efforts. Now I request our guest for today, Dr. Geeta Patil ma'am, who is a chairperson elect at Central Adolescent Health Academy, say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. At the outset, let me thank IIP Navi Mumbai and AHA Navi Mumbai for involving me in this inauguration ceremony. I am seeing our President Central IIP sparing time for this inauguration. It is great that adolescent chapter is going to be very important for everyone. And already this is the third day of, and Jitendra Gavane sir is there, Satish Shane is there, Shilpa madam, who is my very dear friend. So it's a nice to see all of you. Kiran is there. So today is the third day of the International Adolescent Week. I think when we were discussing International Adolescent Week, Dr. Kalyani was the first one to share all the details, right, Kalyani, in our meeting. So it was a great thing. And Navi Mumbai is always in a forefront of all academic activities. We already have witnessed it all over the country. And I think AHA Navi Mumbai also is not exception for that. Already I have seen that short movie for the teens and by the teens. Very beautiful. I think everybody should watch. And second is scholastic performance. Dr. Shilpa, it was really great. It was a very nicely done. And essay competition, I think we should tell them it is not for winning any prizes or anything. It is just participating itself is very important. And it is a really excellent initiative taken. I think all over India, different branches, there are 40 branches of Adolescent Health Academy. And today, Karnataka Adolescent Health Academy state branch is permitted, which will be launched in 3 days' time. So this is the first state branch of Adolescent Health Academy after all the bylaws were finalized. So International Adolescent Week, already you are told the theme of International Adolescent Week, with and for the adolescents, building healthier and more inclusive future. What does it mean? We should allow the adolescent in engaging as equal stakeholders with us in decision making, agenda setting. And we must recognize adolescents as experts in defining their well-being. So each program of ours, we need to have adolescents with us. See, you give some topic. We always talk among each other, but we don't know what adolescents want from us, from the teachers, from the doctors, from the community. Select one early adolescent girl or a boy and late adolescent girl or a boy. And every program, please involve them to talk. Maybe 10 gives us a lot of insight that what we are supposed to do. So it is a very great thing. And one of the topic is mental health disorder. And today you are going to cover that. I think psychiatrist is going to talk. We know that 50% of mental health disorders manifest by the age of 14 years. And we have got a scarcity of pediatric psychiatrists. Maybe I am from Bangalore, where there is an immense. Every time we go on referring to the pediatric psychiatrist for anxiety, depression, mood disorders, conduct disorders, behavioral disorder. We need to know the basic things. So we know without the medical legal, we can treat in our own clinic. Every time we need not have to refer. And many times you have seen, they don't go there. Many of them are lost and neither on this side nor that side. So we all have to gear up to know the mental health disorders also. And already you have covered up poor scholastic performance. And first topic was, I think, positive self-talk. No? First day was a positive self-talk. Yes.
Yes.
So all the things you are covering systematically. Congratulations for that. Wish you all the best for the further. Still week is not over. From 19th to 25th it is there. And I just invite everyone. Central AHA has got every third Thursday, 8:30 to 10:30 night DIP platform. So this 23rd March, during this International Adolescent Week, we are going to have an adolescent immunization need of the day. And is going to be discussed by the stalwarts like Dr. Kasi sir, Dr. Bansal sir, Dr. Vipin Vasishta sir, and Dr. Indushekar Rao and Kripa Shankar Chatterjee. So I invite everyone. I think everywhere we'll be sharing this flyer and link. So please join for that program because it will be beneficial. We are covering a lot of immunization below 10 years, 5 years. But adolescent immunization still, it has become, though it is there in our chart, but the catch-up immunization is written in a very small prints. So the time has come for us looking at this influenza clashing with our exam time. I think all of you know exam are there and influenza is also there. So an influenza this time is little worse than what it was before. Many are missing their exams. So we need to know this adolescent immunization. Always we talk adolescents. Investment in adolescent health gives a triple dividend for the adolescent when the adolescent becomes an adult and the next generation. So adolescent immunization is a very important part of that. So, and this International Adolescent Week will prime us pediatricians, community, teachers, everyone, how important is adolescent health and what are the things, issues to be discussed. And already I think all the topics are known. like first day, second day, third day. You need not have to go according to that. And I thank Dr. Upendra sir for being present for this International Adolescent Week. And sir, I request you to be present for our program on 23rd, which is an international, adolescent immunization talk. And you should give your inputs, and IAP should take it forward as a separate adolescent immunization card and health card. So thank you very much. Congratulations and wish you all the best again.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the wonderful inputs and motivating us and always supporting us. Now I request Dr. Jitendra Gawani, sir, Executive Board Member, Central IAP, to say a few words.
Thank you, Kalyani. On behalf of IAP Navi Mumbai and AHA Navi Mumbai, I welcome you all. Navi Mumbai IAP is always a torchbearer and guidance to this thing to the people how to celebrate various activities in most innovative ways. And AHA Navi Mumbai under the guidance of Kiran Vaswani Madam, Shilpa Aroskar Madam, and you both, Amol Kalyani and Shruti, you are taking this to a newer and newer heights every time. And I feel very fortunate and proud that in my tenure, we could establish this branch as a separate entity of the central AHA chapter. So, friends, like every year, we are celebrating this week, International Week this time, and various activities are planned. And I request all of you to join for all activities and watch the videos made by beautiful adolescent children themselves, and various issues are touched. So I wish all the best for your this week celebration, and I feel proud of that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for motivating us. Now I request our charismatic AHA President, Dr. Shilpa Aroskar, ma'am, to say a few words. Ma'am,
Unmute, Shilpa.
Yeah. I'm often muted at home by my husband, so sometimes I carry on on the Zoom platform. So it's such a pleasure to be on this platform every year, and welcome to all the esteemed Central AHA members and my dear friend, Dr. Geeta Patil, and her words of wisdom and her passion for adolescent is always very inspiring to me personally. And so rightly, she said that, we need to look more into their mental health issues also. So usually we always think that it's a very difficult time for the parents handling an adolescent, but I think it's more difficult for the teenagers to go through this phase. And as far as IAP Navi Mumbai goes, it gives me so much of immense pleasure and pride that 4 years back, what we launched as a small project called Umang Bhari Udan, and we lovingly call it UBU, has now taken wings to this level, and we have our own separate Navi Mumbai branch. And it's said that, you may be smart or not smart, but you are smartest if you choose smart colleagues. And I think I've been very smart in choosing that, because I feel my contribution is not as much as the contribution by all these girls, Kalyani and Amok, and absolutely the gusto. So it's not like just an adolescent celebration week here. It feels like some festival in Navi Mumbai IAP branch to me. The enthusiasm with which and the innovative ideas with which the programs are conducted. So I just want to tell my team that it's so wonderful to be working with such a fabulous team, where it's never I, it's always we. And this one thing about IAP Navi Mumbai, has always, it's like a legacy passed every year. And yes, as Upendra said, even I would request everyone to watch the videos. I will not be surprised if it might be selected for a short movie Oscar next year, Kalyani, because they are so professional to that level.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure that as a branch, we are going to do great. And I think end of few years, every adolescent in India, we will have a emotionally, mentally, and physically healthy adolescent. That would be the goal for Central IIP. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your wise words. Now I request our president, Dr. Satish Shahane sir, to say a few words.
Yeah, good afternoon all. I welcome on behalf of Navi Mumbai IIP all the dignitaries, esteemed AHA members, Central AHA members, Dr. Upendra Kecha, Central IIP President, AHA President Navi Mumbai, Dr. Shilpa Aroskar, EB member Dr. Jitendra Gawane, and all my dear friends. And I think it will be very, I would say, wonderful to watch all the actions, initiatives taken by Dr. Kalyani, Dr. Amuk Shahane in this during this AHA International Week celebration. And Navi Mumbai is always try to do something which is little, I would say, out of the way to take new heights and new platforms where teens are given opportunity, even the parents are to be learned it, to be more learned. And as a adolescent, we know we have gone through all phases of adolescent ourselves. We have seen the changes in our children also, and we are seeing in others also. But as a pediatrician, what we can make difference is to change the little bit of parenting, make the positive attitude in the adolescent, and most important to spread the awareness. So these things are happening with the help of all AHA activity all over the India, and we are one just part of that. So I thank them. I welcome them. I welcome Dr. Swapnil Sahu also, which is one of our best friend to tackle in our COVID times. Basically, post COVID, he has helped us in giving like taking our stress out. So I welcome him also, and I ask Kalyani to carry on. Thank you.
Now we proceed to our formal inauguration and Saraswati Vandana. India all over and also abroad.
या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृति
India all over and also abroad.
Dr. Kalyani or Amok can take over.
Hello.
Dr. Kalyani?
I think she lost the connection, I think.
Amok?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
So we can start?
Yes. We can start after the official inauguration. I would just like to start the session. So as you all know, a teenager's life is like a roller coaster ride and a lot of ups and downs. And they have these high voltage emotions, which are sometimes very difficult to handle by the parents and the teens themselves because they don't understand what's happening in their body or in their mind. So to demystify all this and to kind of, create a truce between the parents and their teens, we have with us today's topic of discussion, which is going to be talk about teenage anxiety and mood swings as part of the AHA and the International Adolescent Health Week celebration. So today with us, we have Dr. Swapnajit Sahu, an eminent speaker from PGI Chandigarh, who is the associate professor. And I would just like to give a brief introduction of Dr. Swapnajit. He is a member of the Indian Psychiatric Society and IPS North Zone. He is an assistant editor of Indian Geriatric Mental Health and a managing executive editor of IPS New Zealand Journal. And he has won many national and international awards. And he's been awarded the Young Researcher Fellowship Award of World Psychiatric Association in 2017. And he's had 132 publications and 10 book chapters. So very honored to have Dr. Swapnajit with us today. And I would like to invite him to start with this talk. Dr. Swapnajit, the screen is all yours.
Thank you so much. I think I have to make the co-host to share my screen.
Yeah.
Sir, you have been made.
एक बार रिजॉइन किए थे ना, एक बार फिर से कर दो।
हाँ ठीक है सर।
I don't think co-host नहीं हुआ है।
Just a minute.
Just a minute, Dr. Swapnajit.
Yeah.
You have been made the co-host now, Dr. Swapnajit.
Yeah. So at the outset, I would like to thank the Navi Mumbai Association of Pediatrics for giving me this opportunity to speak about this topic. And as a practicing psychiatrist in Chandigarh and as a part of the Indian Psychiatric Association, we also hold several child and adolescent mental health weeks issues, and we discuss in our national conferences, and we have separate our task forces also who specifically deal with child and adolescent mental health issues. And there are various practice guidelines also we have developed how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with somatic problem or somatoform disorder, dissociative disorders, and mood symptoms or mood disorders. But these are all pertaining to those who are abnormality, which we see in the abnormal group of population in the children and adolescent, maybe ADHD, maybe conduct disorders. So we have separate guidelines. But what I will be talking today is mostly about which is normal adolescent behavior. So because many times we see parents coming with several issues in their children, mostly in the early adolescent, in the late adolescent age group, that thinking that these are a part of psychiatric issues and they need counseling for them, and they need that they need to be evaluated. So there are various myths, and there are various challenges which the parents as well as the young adolescent goes through. So I will be discussing about that. So I think the target audience is mostly pediatricians, and I think the parents will be joining, or they will be watching in the YouTube. Am I right, Amog? Yeah. So
yes, we have. It's live right now, so we have a lot of audience who are watching us right now.
Okay, so I'll try to be very simple in my approach so that it can hold to the maximum attention of the parents and the teenagers who they can relate what they go through. So I'll be sharing my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, it's visible. Just put it in screen share. No? Yeah.
Yeah. So as introduced that what to do and how to handle anxiety and mood swings in adolescent, mostly from the parents' perspective. So what we see in the adolescent, that as it was discussed in the introductory or the inauguration session, that adolescence is a very different phase of life. It's the transition between childhood and adolescent in the adulthood, and it is it's a mixture of physical, cognitive, and psychosocial growth, which occurs at a very rapid phase. And this particular period pertains from 10 years to 19 years as defined by WHO, which we all know. And this is somewhat unique for the human development and as important time for laying the foundation of the good health. And what we see in most of the mental health disorders or the mental health issues, they have their roots in the adolescent years, that is mostly in the teenage or the 13, 14, 16, 17, 18 years, because most of the psychiatric disorders or the mental health disorder, they have their origin in this period. So this is a very unique time period, and as well as what can be said to be one of the most critical period which of life, where most of the we need more nurture, and as well as we need more care for the growing adolescent brain as well as the mind. So because of the rapid physical, cognitive, and psychosocial growth, and it affects the adolescent, how they feel, how they think, how they make decisions, how they interact the world around them. So during this phase, the adolescent establish various patterns of the behavior for like that related to the diet. Some become more diet conscious, or some go towards the extremes of the diet, like they start taking food, unhealthy eating styles. Some involve into physical activity, some do not involve into physical activity. Substance abuse is a very big problem in adolescent age group, because this is the time when the adolescent mind starts to explore what type of substance, what kick it gives. Why should not I try it out? Let me try it out, and all that. And sexual activity also, exploration, self exploration, as well as taking interest in the opposite sex. So all these things are different patterns of the behavior which an adolescent goes through, and they can protect their health and as well as the health of others around them. But at the same time, if they practice unhealthy patterns of behavior in all these areas, they can put their health at risk for that period and also for the entire lifetime or the future. So to grow and develop a good health, adolescents need information from the peers, from the teachers, and mostly from the parents, that what opportunities they need to develop life skills or healthy life skills, and how to handle their own emotions, anxiety, and mood swings, which is very common during this phase of life. And they need to know the age appropriate comprehensive sexuality education. Now this sexuality education is altogether a different topic which needs great attention, because in India particularly we don't give that importance to sex education in the adolescent. And they learn mostly from the TVs, movies, and nowadays all this OTT, Netflix, and all that. So they are learning different things which we are now seeing in our clinical practice, that because of poor sexual education or sex knowledge, they are facing several troubles or several problems. So it is a separate topic per se, which I will be not going through, and I will be focusing mostly on the emotional aspects and how to handle them. So, what are the main challenges an adolescent goes through? Because in summarizing, there are four basic challenges which an adolescent goes through during the period of adolescence. But there can be many, but they can be usually summarized under four main headings. They are: first is academic pressure, because by that time they enter into the middle school and then high school, like 8, 9, 10th, and then 11, 12th. So there's a lots of academic pressure, and similarly there is pressure from the parents. And there is next is the social anxiety, that is how to fit in the social milieu of the their school children, college children. So how to suit into that, and they may face anxiety in fitting into that group. And third is the changes in the relationships, because as the adolescent grows, we have seen there is a change in the relationship status with the parents. They also have frequent mood swings. And lastly is that they have increasing need for independence and they want to decide what is good or what is bad for them. So they want to be independent in their decision making. So all these four things creates a great degree of hassle and tussle in their life, and also it gives rise to various conflicts between the growing adolescent and the parent, and as well as with the teachers and the peers. So all this leads to several challenges and several outbursts, and ultimately it leads to an mood upset and mood swings. So again, there are various emotional challenges which an adolescent goes through during this period of adolescence. Mostly the emotional ability are about to understand their feelings, the cognitive capability of an uh, individual develops at the age of 13 years. So at the age of 13 years, what researchers have found out, what psychologists and psychiatrists have found out through several research, that the ability to regulate their emotions or to think which is good, which is bad, you usually develop, that is the cognitive capacity of an individual develops from 13 years onward. So emotional ability to understand their feelings, it gradually develops. Impulsiveness is quite seen during this period, and they are preoccupied with their body image because of the pubertal hormonal influence or growth hormones. And then because of all this, there is frequent mood changes and ultimately mood swings. There is also self exploration and evaluation of their emotions. They try to seek answers from their peers and as well as from their parents about their emotions. They're at times confused what to do, what not to do. Am I doing the right thing? Why I should not do it? Because my friends are doing, and all that. So it is a degree of confusion always exists. And similarly, they also succumb to stress and emotions of poor coping skills, because they learn from what they see, and mostly they see that most of the adolescent or the peer groups, they are indulging in poor coping. Uh, so there is poor coping skills, and also they fantasize a lot, daydream a lot, mostly on their they make anyone which they like as their ideal figure. Maybe the mostly the ideal now ideal person now changes to either a friend or a teacher or a actor, actresses, anybody. So usually they change their ideal now, because before 10 years or 11 years of age, the parents were the mostly idols. So now their ideal also changes. Then also they go through or they face attention seeking behavior, because they want to feel wanted, to be the center of attraction among their peer groups, or in the class, or in the college, or in the family also, that now I'm growing old, I need to get that degree of independence. And so there is also attention seeking behavior. So you see that there is a whole lot range of emotional changes which an adolescent goes through during this period. Now coming to the topic proper, that mood swings. So mood swings, as we know, that is the change, abrupt change in the mood. So teenagers particularly, they conflict with their parents, and there is frequent switch of moods quickly, and they do various irrational things, and in general they don't act like adults. What we say, that they are behaving like childish. बचपना बहुत है, and because of which they get moody very much. They refuse to eat, they refuse to follow what the parents are saying, and they act as if they are not going to, they're not bothered about what anybody else is feeling. So on the other hand, the parents feel that they are not children anymore, and hence they should not be acting like this. And they, as they are growing old, so they should behave properly, just like adults. They should think properly, just like we are thinking. So it becomes a great degree of conflicts because of these mood swings between the parents. And parents and adolescent conflicts are the most common problem of adolescent behavior, which brings them to the even to the clinic also, because many times we get patients or parents coming saying that the child is listening to us. So the adolescent mood swings and the conflicts of the parents are usually blamed on the hormones. And what is the easiest thing is that just blame the hormones. That because of the hormonal changes, because of the pubertal changes, because of the too much of testosterone and estrogen, they are behaving too much arrogantly. They are behaving too much irritating. So because of which, just this is all because of the hormones. But the question arises that is it all just that the hormones are to be blamed? Usually the answer is no. So what happens is that adolescents tend to switch moods quickly, both in positive direction as well as in negative direction. Most of the research says that the hormones, testosterone, estrogen, and steroids, like the cortisol and all corticosteroids, they are responsible for the mood swings. But along with the adolescent also go through several degrees of cognitive and situational changes which occur during the same time when the puberty is occurring. So these changes or the situational changes or the cognitive changes also affect the mood. So it is not just only the hormones are to be blamed that because of the hormones they are behaving so and so. It is because of the situational factors and as well as the cognitive factors also. So next focus, which brings the child or the adolescent to mood swing, is that the adults or the parents or the guardian focus on the teen's future. So as soon as the child enters 12 years, 13 years, or 14 years per se, or near coming towards the ninth standard and 10th standard, the parents start thinking about the teen's futures, and they begin to realize that their actions can have serious long-term effects. So they try to restrict too much on the adolescent, and because of all this becomes a too much of tussle between the parents and the adolescent. And all these new events, new roles, they will be always said that you are now growing elder, you should not do that, you should not do that. And they have their own bodily needs also, and they have different expectations. So all of a sudden their life changes, and the parents start expecting, or the society starts expecting a lot. They need to do, they need to develop their own capability and responsibility, and which altogether bring a new degree of stress, which only the adolescent is able to face. And at times it becomes he or she becomes confused that what he should be doing. And so all this is quite natural that the adolescent mood swings happen because of all this pressure, and all this pressure is usually hidden. We say that these all are hidden pressure, and we get to know that what an adolescent is going through when you do a conflict assessment. So in psychology and in psychiatry, whenever we get a distressed adolescent, we usually do a conflict assessment, which is we give them a set of pictures, which is the thematic perception test or draw a person test, and we just ask, just tell us what these two persons are talking, just narrate a story, and based on that various conflicts. And also we give various half sentences they have to fill up, like for example, my mother is good but fill in the blanks, my father is very good but fill in the blanks, I am very attached to my teacher but. So in that way we are able to know what there is a good thing, because always the mind always want to tell good things about their parents or their brother, sister, and teachers. But when you add a but and fill in the blank, they tend to give up various other. My mother is good, but she controls me a lot. So then when we sit and discuss, we get a lot of issues which the parents needs to understand as well as the adolescent needs to understand. So these all are we see day in and day out. So now coming to what happens because of this adolescent mood swings and parents conflict. So adolescents have more conflicts with their parents compared to the children, and for the initial few years the conflicts are at very high level, maybe up to 15, 16 years. But as the teenager moves towards the late adolescent, like 17, 18, 19, the conflicts get fewer. This everybody who have grown up children, they could understand it better. And normally the parent teenager conflicts are over minor issues. When we sit back and think what all issues they are being fighting or what are the conflicts, they are very minor, such as clothing. Why should not I wear this and go out? And personal appearance. Why should not I apply so and so makeup and go out? Like dating. Why should not I go out with this boy or that girl? family rules, limitation. Why should I come back at 8 o'clock? Why so? My friend is coming at 9 o'clock. Their family is so liberal. Why you are so much of strict? And because of all this, there is so much of conflicts. And also example is that parents do not want their teenage boys to grow long hairs, but boys want to. And this is very common and often a very minor conflict. But because of all this, usually the
So
adolescent mood
what
get
we can see
upset,
connected at is we have tea, we
and
have food,
have
we
to
have
swings,
we have
and because of which many of their days get worsened. Much of noise.
We would
One
like to
second.
only,
I
yeah,
will unmute all, then you unmute yourself. I'll mute all.
Yes, that will better.
Thank you. So, so usually, yeah, am I audible?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So usually these all conflicts which we see day in and day out are over minor issues, which when we sit back and think, ये तो बहुत छोटी सी बात है, इस बात पे then the parents feel guilty that I was angry over my child or son or daughter, and but these are but at that time the anger or the hostility is too much that the uh, the child as well as the parents mood get upset. So it does not that the adolescent has mood swings, but it affects also the parents mental health, also parents mental health condition, also mostly the mothers who have to face the adolescent demands, and when they are not fulfilled they usually shout at their mothers, and also nowadays the fathers also. So this is very common. So much of the parent-teenager conflicts seem to occur because the teenagers are trying to establish the independence from their parents. So this is the main reason why. What is the reason behind this conflicts? But parents think that they should not cannot let go very easily, because if they let go easily, then this adolescent will go out of the track. So we need to control him or her very strictly so that they should be fitting into the rules of their family or the rules of the society. And most of the time, it is the parents who start a conflict over something as small and unimportant as the length of the hair or mobile uses. And this lingers on and creates more and more conflicts. An entire day or even a week is upset in the family. So these things we need to understand. So what are the usual questions which we get when we see a parent coming with a adolescent, or when they bring an adolescent to us? Usually we see that when they're asking our son or daughter, हमारा बेटा और बेटी बहुत मूड स्विंग्स होता है, लेकिन ये कब तक चलेगा ये, हम तो परेशान हो गए हैं. So usually the answer which we give is that normally adolescent mood swings start with puberty, mostly in the 13 or 12 years, and last for a few years, mostly up to 15, 16 years. But the number of years can differ from person to person. And mind it, this is the time when if we give appropriate nurture and caring to the adolescent, it can frame their personality. Otherwise, if the mood swings persist and they remain irritable for all these years, they might develop into significantly different personality throughout their life. So this particular age is shapes their personality. We see that इसका nature कैसा है, उसका nature कैसा है, and all this nature or personality, they depends on how they are being tackled during this initial frame of these years. Next is that the parents often ask us what causes this mood swings during puberty. The often belief is that it's because of the hormonal changes, and we can also say this and go away from our responsibility. But we need to make the parents understand that apart from the hormonal changes, all the children go through the hormonal changes, but not everybody has such issues in their life. But because your son or daughter is facing such thing, we need to understand that along with the hormonal changes, there are various life complexities which are going through, and the child probably is feeling more responsibilities which are being added to him suddenly, which are enough to cause stress, and stress is causing the mood swings. So we need to make the parents understand that it is not just the hormone, but also the milieu and the stressor, the situations, everything. Next is that questions which we get is that it is normal for a teenager to be angry all the time. They often say, यार हमारा बेटा या बेटी हमेशा गुस्से में रहता है, गुस्सा इसके नाक पे चढ़ा रहता है, तो हम इसके गुस्से को कैसे शांत करो, कोई दवाई दे दीजिए so that इसका गुस्सा कम हो जाए. So that is not the very thing that we try to first analyze whether this anger is related to any situation, or it is not possible for a child to remain angry for the whole time, but usually the parents feel the same. So it is because of the mood swings. What they're referring to is the mood swings. So the adolescent mood swings should not be considered responsible for their behaviors always, because if an adult is always angry, it is also not normal. So when we get report again and again that the teenager is remain angry all the time throughout the day or very frequently, we need to observe it, whether it is starting off any psychiatric issues or not. Mostly depression in adolescent also presents with irritability and also any mood disorder, for example mania, or they also present with irritability. We don't see that type of sad faces or the mostly cheerful in mania. So the teen adolescent depression as well as adolescent mood disorder is completely different what we see in the adults or the elderly. So we need to examine properly. We need to take a good, clear history that what is the frequency of such behavior, what are the triggers which is causing this behavior, so that we need to reach to a final conclusion. So next is that question, which are the teenagers conflicts with the parents normal, because they say that ये हमारे साथ ही लड़ाई झगड़ा करता है, but अपने अंकल आंटी के साथ ठीक रहता है, अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ ठीक रहता है, बस पेरेंट्स के साथ ही हमेशा लड़ाई झगड़ा करता है. So they ask that it is normal that this child are too much of angry with the parents only. हम क्या इसके दुश्मन है? They ask us. So the answer is that teenagers conflict with the parents are over various small examples. I say the length of the hair, mobile usage, TV watching, going out at this and this time restriction. The conflicts are with us because they think that the parents are controlling them too much. पहले तो they don't used to control us, but now they are controlling us too much. So because of which they have more conflicts with the parents, and it can be with the one parent. So we need to know that what is the role models in their family, what is the role responsibility, who is more liberal, who is more authoritative, who is giving more restriction. Because if we unless we analyze the patterns of the parenting, it is very difficult to set aside any rules, regulation, boundaries, or set aside the limitation. And the teenager might feel that the doctor is also acting just as my parent. So it is following what my parent is saying. So we don't need to group with the parents. So we need to establish, or we need to analyze the patterns of the parenting, who is setting the rules, who is behaving how, and all that. So adolescent mood swings can also cause conflicts, but as long as they agree on most major things and maintain a good relationship, the conflicts is fine. And most of the adolescents forget the next day what had happened, and again the relationship with their parents is cordial. So now coming to anxiety. So when to say, we know that anxiety in adolescent is very common because of the academic pressure or the peer pressure and many other things. They tend to worry a lot about their future. So it is normal. So with some degree of anxiety is normal, which we say are eustress. But when this eustress become distress, then we call abnormal. We know that graph of the stress is just a parabolic curve. So when it increases stress, this affects your performance. So when to say it's abnormal, when it is excessive in nature, and the child starts to worry for not even for one problem, but for several problems, and it's for several days together over minor to minor issues, then we say that it is abnormal, and it affects their growth, it affects their sleep, it affects their appetite. Then we say that is abnormal, and usually the parents are able to find it out that the child is excessively worried. And usual worry just before the exams or just before every event, they are usually not associated with any functional impairment. And it is usually transient, and it is said to be normal. It is also healthy. But if there are certain risk factors in the family, then we need to be we need to have a close watch to know that whether this type of anxiety is abnormal or not. For example, if the parents have diagnosed anxiety disorders like generalized anxiety disorder or panic disorder or any type of depression, any type of neurotic disorders or any specific fear, they are usually transmitted to their children, and they usually exhibit during this period, that is during the adolescent. So if the parents are having, if one or both parents are having any type of anxiety disorder, then is because of the genetics and as well as because of the family environment, the adolescent also might have starting of the anxiety symptoms, and we need to keep a watch over it before they become disorder or before they become functional impairment, impairing to them. So we need to have a, by this, I refer to the early intervention which we can try in improving that they do not go on to develop a full frank disorder like the parents. We can have control over the factors. Next is the risk factor is that if they have frequent difficulties in the peer relationship, which if they are getting, if the parents are getting frequent complaints from the peers or from the teachers that he is not able to mix up with the children of his age, and this is usually linked with the social acceptance. And because if this peer relationship difficulties persist for a longer time, then the child develops in the mind that I am not fitted for this society. I am not fitted among this group of children. So that means there is something lacking in myself. So I am not fitting. I am not good. So I am not good if it comes to the mind of the child, and if it becomes fixed, then it gives rise to social anxiety, that he always he gets a negative self-evaluation of himself or herself, that I am not going to perform well. I am not going to talk well, nobody will accept me, and this ultimately leads to a social anxiety. So we need to have an open discussion. So why the child is having too much of peer issues or peer relationship? So it's a very significant issue because this will ultimately shape his entire future. So next is that when abnormal, that when these are the some of the red flag signs that the parents should know that that this type of anxiety is abnormal. The anxiety is not, but they also need to know that the anxiety is not always apparent, because the teenagers or the adolescent, they tend to disguise their thoughts and feelings. They are not always vocal to their parents, because you may be knowing that as the child grows, they try to set aside that they talk less, that they are usually absorbed among themselves or with the peer groups, and they don't express much of their feelings to their parents. So mostly it is not that apparent. But if the parent senses, or the mother or father senses that the child is having constant fears or worries about routine aspects of their life, ये कैसे होगा? The exam is after 3 months, but the child started worrying from today itself that ये chapter कैसे खत्म होगा, ये कैसे खत्म होगा, वो कैसे खत्म होगा, and अगर guest आ जाएंगे, अगर वहां घूमने चले जाएंगे तो मेरा पढ़ाई रुक जाएगी, and all that. So that means that these are not normal worries, and the child is excessively worrying. So we need to have and watch over that. If there are constant fears, if the child withdraws from the friends and the social activities, this is an indicator that he's having problems with the social acceptance and might be having social anxiety. We need to look into it. If the child is having too much of irritability issues and lashing out at others, too much anger outburst of on minor issues, so that can be also an symptom of anxiety. Not every irritability is mood swings. So it can be because of an inner hidden anxiety disorder also. And if the child is having significant difficulties at school, or sudden there is deterioration in the performance in the academics, and he or she is again and again refusing to go to school, this might be an indication of bullying, or it can be because of any type of threat which he or she is facing at the school, and having several days of sleep problems, either going to bed late, or having waking up again and again, or waking up suddenly in the morning. and a new introduction to substance abuse, that the parents usually say that we have found cigarette small sticks or anything in their bags and in their pockets. So it can be indicated that the child is going into substance abuse. And usually the adolescent starts substance use when they are not too involved along with their peers. If their peers criticize a lot that you are not trying, you are not a you are not grown up and all that, so they try to explore and they start substance abuse. That is also because of anxiety to fit into their peer group. And if the child is again and again asking reassurance for everything, मम्मी ये ठीक किया ना मैंने, पापा ये मैंने ठीक किया है, सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा ना, मेरे साथ सब कुछ हमेशा ठीक होगा ना. If the child is again and again asking reassurance, which is not as per his age, and if it is not, which was not before, it is a new symptom that the child is, that means that the child is worrying a lot, and he needs only reassurance from the parent. And so that means something is going in his mind, in his or her mind. So then we say that these are red flag signs, and the child needs to be further explored by the parent into the depth, so that to know whether it is normal or abnormal. And I'm not saying that all this needs evaluation by a mental health professional, but these are some of the things the parent or the guardian should know, that this is not normal. The child is going through a hard phase, and we need to sit and discuss. Now in this post-COVID area, and also during the COVID period, the role of social media has greatly influenced, and now we are seeing a lot of patients, and mostly the teenagers in the 17, 18 years, lot of issues, anxiety, depression related to social media. Somebody has blocked me, somebody has passed a critical comment to me, somebody has passed obscene message to me and all that, and because of which they stop eating, they stop going out, they block their profile and all that. So they have been brought by the parents that he's behaving abnormally. So when we explore further, we found that it is because of the social media. So they nowadays they are spending countless hours on their phones, so messaging on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter accounts, and they're receiving social media notification all the day long, which can influence their thoughts and feelings about themselves. They keep on sitting and noting down who liked me, who disliked me, why he disliked me. That means I'm not looking good or something like that. They keep on thinking and analyzing their behavior of their peers. And in some respect, I'm not saying that this is altogether negative. It can be enjoyable and positive experience in certain group when it is limited, but in others it can also increase the anxiety and feelings of isolation and can lead to depression and significant anxiety. So while social media can help the teens and the kids, the adolescent to stay connected and maintain closer ties to family and friends, but it can also promote bullying and negatively impact their self-image and self-esteem, which we all, everybody knows. So there has to be a limitation, there has to be a restriction on the uses of the social media, and there are several parental controls over which needs open discussion with their teenage girl or boy, that the parents need to have an control over the uses of the social media accounts and all that, which cannot be done forcefully. It has to be done with consent of the adolescent, and so that it does not give rise to another conflict. So summarizing what all I have discussed is that there are various issues with the adolescent phase that can be related to social, emotional, academic, and physical. Social is like isolating, withdrawing himself, increased screen time, intense fear of being judged by the others or mostly the peer group, hypersensitivity to criticism leading to mood swings, avoid socializing, and lastly loneliness. Emotional can be like anxiety. These are the predictors of anxiety and depressive disorders in childhood and adolescence. Persistent worry, racing thoughts, keep keyed up on the edge, irritability, restlessness, repetitive behaviors. Mostly the OCD or obsessive compulsive disorder also starts during the adolescent phase. Low concentration, academic decline, homework, missing of homework, procrastinating whether I will be able to pass or fail or get good grades, overwhelmed, and then there's school refusal or avoidance. And all this can lead to several physical problems like frequent headaches, gastrointestinal problems, aches and pain, excessive fatigue, difficulty falling asleep or sleeping too much, panic attacks. And and they make frequent visits to the medical health professional or the pediatrician, and when analyzed there is nothing, so it leaves this level being functional and referred to us. So and when we do a conflict assessment and or need an open discussion, we found that because of the several issues, it is not related to the physical problem, it is mostly related to the mental health problems or the issues. I'm not saying disorders, I'm telling that these are some of the common issues, mental health issues. So now comes the crux is that what the parents should do, how to handle these two important things like emotions, anxiety, and mood swings. So by this time, I think that the everybody must be worried that if the adolescent are facing so much of issues, so what should we do? We know that they are facing all these things. So what should we do? So there is definitely a role of parents. They are the teachers. They are the friend and everything to the growing adolescents. So they need to know what they can do so that the child can develop properly and can pass this phase of adolescent in a smooth way. So first and foremost is that for handling anxiety, they need to respond to the anxiety in the right way. Right way means they need to listen, they need to remain calm and hopeful as possible, because the way the parent react, that the child can have long lasting in his mind that if my father or mother is afraid of this, that means that it is a very big problem. So it means that I should be also anxious in such situation. So we need to remain calm and hopeful for possible solution, and never ever pass any negative comments. तू इस बात से डर गया, इतनी छोटी सी बात से डर गया. Don't need to pass any negative comments because we don't know what's going on in the mind of the child. So we need to talk to the child about their worries. We need to validate their worries just by simply telling the child that not to worry and stop thinking. इतना क्यों सोचते हो? इतना चिंता मत करो. It is not supportive or validating. So we need to sit and discuss why you are worrying, what is how much rationality is there behind the worry. We need to go through. So what all thoughts are coming to the mind of the child, that can only be discussed once you sit and talk with the child in an open manner. So always reassure the child that it's okay to be scared, but emphasize that you are there to help them at every step of their life. But if the child has difficulty explaining how they are, just leave for few moments, maybe for hours, and ask them to communicate in the form of a story or write it down or explain us whatever is coming to your mind, so that the child feels comfortable in discussing to their parents and feels that my parent, my mother or father is there, they're able to understand me, so let me open up a bit. So by this way, you can show your concern as well as your understanding. So there's need to have an active component of active listening and have an open dialogue with your teenage son or daughter. Next is that you should be a positive role model for your teenager. The parents should be the role model for their teenager, because the child always looks up to the mother or father and needs guidance in showing them how to manage stress and anxiety. So if the father or mother is practicing unhealthy coping skills, like if he or she sees whenever there is a stress, mother is going and taking a pill, headache pill, and sleeping. My father is going out and drinking alcohol or taking a beer, and so the child feels that these are the only ways to handle the stress and anxiety. So this should not be by this we are setting wrong maladaptive coping skills, which we say that this should not be the ideal situation how to deal with the stress. So the child may not say this, but this imbibes in the mind of the child that these are the ways to handle anxiety. So this should not be the message going to your teenager. So because the child learns from whatever the parents are doing. So the way you deal with your frustration, that is the parents deal with their frustration and express anger, is a prime example. And the child might follow the same when he becomes the young youth or adolescent, in youth or adult. So always try to remain calm and patient as possible, and while dealing with problems and challenging situations. And the way the parents speak and how they speak and what they speak can have a huge influence on even a difficult teenager's values and behavior. So, and also we need to have adaptive coping skills, like I talked about, and not about the maladaptive ones, like running away from the problem. Facing it, but with dignity, and facing it with an open hand challenge, and without showing excess of anger and frustration, even if you are going through. That should not be too much open to the teenager. Otherwise, they can have it as a social learning behavior. So next is that the child needs to practice relaxation exercise along with the parent, because then only the child will think that these are the ways to handle stress, like meditation, working out, jogging together, yoga, deep breathing exercise. So we need to inculcate all these good lifestyle changes straight away from these growing years, like in the 11 years, 12 years, 13 years, so that by the time they have these hormonal influences, mood swings and problems, they are able to manage their own stress by practicing this healthy lifestyle way. So nowadays it is being said that we need to develop these healthy habits as early as possible in our children, in the adolescents, so that they don't face the adversities of this stressful situation in the long run, and they're able to handle their situation. And who will do it? Or if the parents are the role model in doing together, taking the child for a walk together, jogging with them, doing yoga exercises with them, meditating with them, watching good comedy serials with them, not this crime thrillers, murder mysteries and all that. So everything impacts the developing child's mind. And also promote sleep hygiene. And for that reason, the parents also have to follow a particular sleep hygiene, not that forcing the child to sleep early and wake up early. So that is not the pattern. So we need to, the parents also need to follow the same if they're advocating something for their children. Now, next is the healthy social media use. As I said that nowadays social media is also affecting, or the reason behind the anxiety problems in the growing adolescent. So we need to encourage healthy social media use, and we need to discuss the pros and cons of the social media. Just by trying to force your child to put their phone away can only add on to their anxiety, that because the mind will be curious and they will do it whenever the parents are away or they are not looking, they will again go and do the same thing. So we need to discuss it without being authoritative, or without being telling it why they are being not allowed to do it. So we need to have set a good example to your child by limiting your own screen time, involvement with the social media, and set aside designated time when the whole family is screen free from the phones, computers, and there should be a daily activity for a short period of time. So by this, this goes to a message to the child's mind that if my parents are following it, probably this is the way to that I should be using social media. Now, how to handle the mood swings, because both these topics are overlapping, because anxiety, in the mood swings also it can have underlying anxiety, and so the most of the solutions are usually the same. So how to handle mood swings? Mostly that the parents need to recognize what is happening. Usually hormonal problems, life situation, excess responsibilities, more expectations from them. So they need to recognize what is happening in the life of the adolescent. They need to talk about it, that you are going through a hard time, you are facing too much of anger issues nowadays. What is it that I can do for you? Or why you are behaving? Are you not behaving odd in this few days? What happened to you? Are you upset? So talk about it and teach coping skills. As I said, healthy coping skills, healthy lifestyle, and find healthy distraction whenever somebody is having mood swings. Unhealthy distraction is like just like that, giving them an outing, giving them the chocolates or anything which they like to eat. These are unhealthy distraction. Healthy distraction is that watching a movie together, going out for a walk, going exercising together, or talking about something different together, going out for a going out, so just spending quality time with each other, going to the park, and etc. So these are healthy distractions, what I say, and giving them space. So whenever you feel that the child is too upset and he's not in a mood that you can handle, so just give them space. The things will become normal the next day, and this will not linger more. Usually, the mind of the child uh, is that soft that it will revert back, and so give them space. When you think that the things are going beyond your control and the child is behaving too much angry or too much of anger outburst, just give them space. No need to lose your own temper and keep on continuing the same topic again and again and again. It will only create more and more disturbance in the family environment. So just give them space and wait till the things to be normal again. Then have a good and healthy discussion. So keep calm and listen and acknowledge their feelings. Help them understand their moods and what they might be going through. You need to make clear rules, boundaries, and expectations, and this has to be set prior. This should not be changed frequently. Otherwise, the child may think that whatever I'm doing, my mother or father is setting a new rule. So you have to have clear rules, and it has to be set prior, and allow them space to process their feelings and be available when needed. Because if you will be there always, if the parents are there always, they might not be able to think rationally. They will always be dependent on the parents, that जो मम्मी कहती है, जो पापा बोलते हैं वही सही है. So you need to have their space. You need to validate their feelings. You need to give respect to their decisions also, if they are okay. So and if it is wrong, then you need to give a proper explanation by why it is wrong. Right. Support your child to problem solve. Don't just jump in to try to fix it, because this thing ultimately results in the good personality development. Because otherwise they will lack the problem solving and decision making skills. And when they will become an adult, mostly in the 19-20 years, and all of a sudden you will say, "Tum to bada ho gaya, ab apna decision khud lo." They will be confused, because so much of the time, last 10 years, my mother and father was doing all the decisions, and now suddenly they are saying that tumko jo acha lagta hai tum karo. So that will again create a lots of problems. So support your problem support your child to problem solve techniques, and don't always jump in to fix it. Be there if they need help, but if they're doing the right thing, then always appreciate it and take so that the child also gets the feeling that I'm doing the right thing. Make most of the up times and frequently praise the good behaviors. Work together to find ways to lighten their mood and express their feelings. So this is what is called as working together with the adolescent or the growing brain. And always encourage healthy sleeping routines and eating habits. So these all are the some of the useful tips which I know that everybody knows, and it is very easy to say but difficult to practice, because often everybody loses their cool and they get but what I say that these are the practical tips, and if 50% of these can be followed, then the most of the life of the adolescent and the parents conflict can be resolved, and it will lead to an healthy adolescent upbringing. So concluding that, as I said, these are anxiety, mood swings as a part of growing up in teen. They're usually transient and can be handled. Parents should be aware of the teen's issues and handle with care, not always with an authoritative manner. We should have set rules and expectations in case of, but whenever you are feeling that the things are not going well for a long time and the child is having a deteriorating course, academic decline, mood swings frequent, not sleeping, irritable behavior for 2 to 3 weeks maximum, then there is a sign that you need to seek expert help before it's become a disorder, because we need to have early interventions so that the child does not suffer, because the brain is quite susceptible at this adolescent, and most of the mental health problem that develop or the origin during the adolescent phase. So we need to act early. So there are experts available in everywhere, in every part of the country, and nowadays online also. So mental health professionals, psychologists, psychiatrists should be taken help when the, because most of the time the parents must be thinking it wrong. So they need to have an open discussion, and they might get their issues clear rather than being confused, that can be also a normal tendency of the child. So an open discussion can always help. Thank you everybody for a very patient listening, and I'm here to answer your any queries. Thank you. You can write to me at this email.
Thank you, Dr. Swapnajit. That was a very exhaustive, informative, and very helpful presentation. You've taken us beautifully to the anxiety, mood swings in teens, and especially how to handle them by parents. And the last 3-4 slides, you've given us a lot of tips of how to handle these mood swings in today's teens. Because I feel as a parent of a teenager that we are also learning parenting, and we are growing with our teens, because the teens of today are having many more issues as compared to when we were teens. So we are really very delighted and really thankful for this session. Before we go for the question answer round, I would like to welcome Dr. Preeti Galgali ma'am, a very senior adolescent expert, and madam is renowned both nationally as well as internationally. And ma'am, we are so delighted that you could join us, in respect of you not being in India. I've been told that you are not in India. So, and you've attended the session the whole way. So, ma'am, we would like to hear some comments from you and any inputs from your side. Ma'am, we cannot hear you, ma'am.
Ma'am, unmute, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Amok and Dr. Kalyani, for inviting me. International Adolescent Health Week is indeed a wonderful global program, and I'm happy that you conducted this wonderful session. Congratulations, Dr. Swapnajit. That was really fantastic. I appreciate what you said, and it was very reassuring to say that, okay, we can work along together with our teens, first seek to understand them, and then we understood. I think it's extremely important for all of us as parents and also as physicians to understand the growing brain, that how we train them now is going to actually make a difference for a whole lifetime. So I think we consider the youth and the adolescents as an asset and not as a problem, and tap into that growing brain and do the best that we can and build resilience that can actually hold them to stand stress over a lifetime. Thank you so much again. I'm looking forward to listening to Dr. Swapnajit answering the questions of the audience.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for those lovely words and appreciation. Now I would like to invite Dr. Tuteja sir, a very senior adolescent expert from Central AHA. Sir has attended the program, and we're very delighted to have you with us. Sir, if you could speak a few words. Sir, unmute yourself, sir.
Thank you very much, madam. It was a very good session by Swapanji, and really it is enlightening. I would add only two things: the proper use of the tongue and proper use of the ears with the children can definitely reduce so many issues between the parents and the child. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we go on to the question answer session. We're still getting a few questions from the audience, but I would like to ask a question myself to Dr. Swapnajit, because as pediatricians, we come across a lot of kids, especially around the exam period, the pre-exam or maybe on the day of the exam, where parents come rushing into the OPD with a child behaving very hysterically with some kind of a panic attack because of anxiety and exam stress. So how do we handle this situation as a pediatrician and as a parent as well?
Okay, so what you see in the clinic is often the peak of that event, when they come rushing to the to the clinic seeking help. But what actually is to be done is that you cannot do anything at that moment except from reassurance. Or most of the Indian parents, they want a pill or the syrup so that the child sleeps or calms down. But that is not going to help in the long run, because many times again the same situation is come after a few days. Again, the pattern will follow, and the usually the child brains learn that this is a way to escape from the exam or escape from this stressful situation that he or she is not doing by knowingly. That is in the subconscious mind, which we say as a dissociative disorder. This is an way of escaping from this stressful situation. So in that situation, only thing is that we need to have an open discussion with the child. He or she may not be knowing that what is happening to him or her during that time, but after that event is gone, he may be perfectly normal. And if the child does not feel guilty or does not repent at all that because of my issues, I lost the exam, I failed a grade, and that means that it is a element of la belle indifference. That is, he's appearing indifferent, and that is an term which we see in dissociative disorder, and we need to go into the details of it. It is not probably the only situation of this exam or anything which is causing the problem, and it can be because of the family environment or many other things. So we need to sit and discuss openly with the child which is actually causing this distress. So it cannot be done just in one sitting. It needs multiple sittings with the child. You can refer to a psychologist for this same, because immediate relief can be with any low acting benzodiazepine like etizolam or something, or even with the Finargan also. But I'm afraid that if this pattern usually prolongs, this pattern usually occurs again and again unless handled in that first instance.
So they need more of professional help and guidance, correct? And sometimes we also come across some harried parents who feel that their child has got some emotional issue, or they're going to some maybe early depression or some other issues, but then the child doesn't come out at all. They don't want to share their feelings, and the parents feel quite helpless. So in such situations, how do we go about it? Like, how do we counsel the parents and the child also? Because sometimes the child doesn't want to come and meet the counselor or even come to the pediatrician also.
Yeah, I understand. This is also a frequently encounter that they don't want to go even to the counselors, even the psychiatrist or psychologist, and they want to live aside. But if the parents feel that there is this abrupt change in the behavior over the last few weeks or maybe few months, that means which is not normal to them. That means that the child is going through a mental health issue, and he needs definitely help of an expert. So maybe nowadays we have visitors, counselors we can visit to the child, and maybe we can take the help of the teachers with whom the child is more attached, or any peer family or any friend with whom he or she is telling everything. And if and always we need to have an red flag sign coming to our mind, is that if the child is behaving suddenly withdrawn and having so much of mood swings and not behaving properly, refusing to talk, there can be an element of bullying or sexual abuse. So this has to be kept in mind, and they need time, and it needs to be tackled seriously. And he or she may refuse for one instance, but after making a good rapport, the child usually comes to meet. So usual contact we need to talk with the teachers or any good friend with whom he or she is talking. So that can be also, we need to take information from multiple sources.
Okay. There's a question from Mr. Jay Kapoor, and he's quoted that nowadays a lot of competition of being macho in boys, and a lot of issues about how many girlfriends they can have and those kinds of things. So how do we counsel these kids?
Most of the time, adolescents have anxiety with academic relationships, with depression. Yeah, that is right. In school, there's a competition of being macro in boys. boys having many girlfriends. So usually this problem, the boys don't come up with these problems. Do you see the boys are coming and complaining that they are not being fitted to their group, or they are being criticized because they don't have girlfriends? So when we see that, that means that there is faulty cognizance in their mind. They are developing negative cognition in their mind. These are faulty cognitions. So we need to counsel that this is not the only case, that this is not right, and what actually he or she mean by these words, what he is saying, and what achievement the other peer members or who have too much of girlfriends, they are getting too much. So we need to go into deep into the issues. We need to take multiple sessions so that the child or the boy or the girl accepts that what he or she is thinking is not the right thing. So need much more deeper session with the child. So actually what is meant by this being Mako or having multiple girlfriends? Is it means that he is a hero, he is to be looked forward? So what actually is meant by this heroism?
I guess a lot of media influence also these days, and these cause a lot of issues. And the other question, I guess, is linked to this, because a lot of girls have these body image issues nowadays. So that's what a mother has asked: how to counsel my child regarding body image issues because of zero figure and that fascination for having a lean and a thinner body.
As I said, most of these problems of the childhood or the adolescent psychiatric disorder, they have their origin in their adolescent. So we have to look whether he or she is going towards any eating disorders like anorexia nervosa, something, because excessively over concern over body weight, body image can be linked to the anxiety disorder or eating disorder. So we have to discuss. So, but many a times we see that even a slight normal deviation from their food habits or slightly more mirror gazing or trying to fit in clothes, the parents also get worried. So not everything is a disorder per se. So we need to discuss how frequently it is and what type of impairment, because if somebody is only worried about the body image issue, it will be affecting everything. It will be affecting their academics, it will be affecting the relationship, and not that. Not only that, expending some time over the this mirror or wearing some types of clothes can be linked with any type of body image issues. So there is always a thin line between normal and abnormal. So we need to look into it.
Okay. And as a parent, sometimes we see our teens having a lot of mood swings. You can say, like, they have a lot of fluctuant, erratic moods. And so then what are the red flag signs to differentiate between normal mood swings in a teenager and whether the child is going into subclinical depression?
Yeah, as I said, that mood swings are usually transient and they last for maybe for a few minutes or maybe for few hours in a day, and they are not persistent for several days together. So if they revert back to their original mood after doing something or getting distracted or having an open discussion, and that means that it is not a persistent problem. Usually what we see is that if the pattern is chronic, if the mood swings are very frequent in a day, like 2 to 3 times in a day or say several days in a week, and it is also linked with their academic decline, and it is also linked with their loss of appetite, sleep disturbances, even menstrual problems like delays in the dates, periods, linked with the somatic problems like frequent headaches, backache, gastrointestinal problem, then we can sense that the child, both physical and mental health are at stake, and that it can be an indicator that these all are functional, and it has to be taken care of.
Okay.
Can we just hold a minute? I'm getting a call. I will just.
Yes. Dr. Kiran Vaswani, ma'am. Welcome for the session, ma'am. If you could share your inputs on screen. Dr. Kiran?
Yes.
Dr. Kiran Vaswani is a very senior adolescent expert from Navi Mumbai. And we get to learn so many things working with ma'am every day in our Navi Mumbai AHA. Ma'am, we would love to hear you.
I'm really glad to be here, I should say. The young team has done a good job arranging. I'm glad we have such an esteemed guest speaker who has given so much of clarity to our ideas and thoughts. Of course, the most important thing that really strikes every time is the role modeling. How the parents and other gatekeepers role model handling their stress or coping with the problems. How do they manage their anger? And are they capable enough, or do they find it right enough to say, okay, I did something wrong when I got angry like that, I should not have. These go a long way in giving the right message to the teenagers who learn almost everything from what gatekeepers do, and not to deny what social media gives them. So thanks once again. I'm very happy to be here, learning every day from all of you and today's guest speaker. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Vaswani ma'am. We're never too old to learn, I guess. And that's what, being a pediatrician teaches us, I guess. We grow younger and younger every day. Thank you so much, ma'am. Dr. Swapnajit, there's been a question about bullying, like a lot of bullying issues in school these days. So like how often do we see such cases, in the sense when do we need to show the child to a counselor or get professional help, because a little bit of bullying is quite common nowadays in schools. So when do we need to show an expert?
Yeah, as I say, that bullying is common in schools as well as in the colleges, in 11, 12, and mostly because of relationship issues and liking, disliking somebody. So it's quite common, but if and it can lead to physical fights also. It can lead to emotional or mental health problems also. So usually, if the child confides in any of the parents, they can discuss that I'm facing so and so, and can they discuss with their principal or their school teachers, and they can make it a point that who is being harassed and all that. This is can be dealt with the administrative level. But if the bullying is leading to significant mental health issues, then we as an expert, we always advise that if the child is not able to getting any respite from that unhealthy situation, if the situation cannot be controlled by the administration, then it is always better that you need to escape the child from that bullying environment. We always advise that you shift the child to another school or another college with the consent of the child. That's what we keep, because we need to protect the health of the child first.
Okay. And Dr. Pallavi Khare is a senior adolescent expert from Navi Mumbai. Ma'am has just voiced one concern that sometimes we get parents and adolescents for counseling and for dealing with their issues. So, like the mother is complaining, the child is more on the mobile, texting his friends and not responding, and the child flatly denies. Then, how do you handle these situations? Dr. Swapnajit?
Yeah. I'm just reading that the child is doing this. Yeah, but that means that we need to, first of all, the parents, as I said, that if you just rightly say that it is not a good thing, you should not do that. The child brain is not going to accept it. He will do it again and again, and he may not do it in your presence, but he might do it hiding. So that is the issue. Is that we face that it happens. Just a minute.
Yes. Dr. Geeta Patil, ma'am, you're still with us, ma'am? Dr. Geeta Patil, ma'am? Dr. Anpise, sir?
Sorry, there was a little bit of issues with the parking related, so they are calling me again.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
So what happened is that because if we put aside a rule and we say directly that it is not wrong, it is wrong and you should not do it. The child will do it any other situation, and he will do it if hidingly or secretively. So one thing is that we need to be open and we need to discuss. We need to explore if the child is sexually active or what, and how he or she is liking this girl, what are the qualities. And we need to be open that it may not be the age appropriate age, that this is infatuation which occurs in this age. And we need to have an open discussion with the child, and just like a friend. So that can usually tackle most of the issues. And if the child feels that he can confide with the mother or father, whomsoever, if the mother is complaining, then usually the child, if they feel that he can discuss with his father, then the father can be the ideal person who can discuss all these things. So any one of them can try it out. It's not easy, but it can be done.
Yes, yes.
And
I guess
many a
there's a
times
lot of
many a times I have seen that the sisters usually become the best friends with their brothers who have all these issues. So sisters, the mother can take the help of the sister to explain the son or the brother that he or she is not doing in the right thing. This is the wrong. Just listen, because the sister has also gone through that phase. So many a times we say that you don't indulge, you don't interfere in this, take help of the sister or the elder sibling so that he can be a friend and can guide.
Yes, I guess sensitizing the boys to the problems which girls face and vice versa, I think that makes a big difference. Thank you so much, Dr. Swapnajit, for answering all the questions so patiently. Today's session is actually for adolescents with adolescents. So if there are any teens in the on Zoom, if anybody can give their feedback or their suggestions, we will be having one more session online. And the topic is going to be the influence of media on teens on Thursday at the same time on Zoom. And the link will be shared to you soon. And then we'll be discussing more about that in that session. But regarding today's session, if anybody has any feedback or the parents want to speak, we still have 5 minutes. I think there are no more questions. So, Kalyani, do you have any questions to ask the speaker?
Yes. Thank you, Swapnajit Sahu sir. It was a wonderful session and very minutely all the details and all the questions which are there in teens' mind as they grow up, and what are the reasons of anxiety, mood swings. Everything was such a wonderfully covered. Just a few things I asked. We usually come across this patients of change in moods very frequently, but as you explained ki how we differentiate when we need a psychiatrist advice and whether these mood swings are just adolescent blues. So this is something which at pediatrician level we need to understand, and please guide us accordingly.
Yeah, as I said that if you see the red flag sign, as I said, it is always linked with the functional impairment. If there is functional impairment, academic worsen academic poor performance, and if it is doing in a regular pattern for days together, then I think that it needs to be handled by an expert opinion. It may not be that anybody who is coming would have to be prescribed any medicines, but just a talk, open talk with the counselors can help a lot. So
Yes, sir.
actually to go to
Yes,
the
sir.
crux
One
of
one
the
more thing
situation.
to add, because we do come across patients with which may sometimes require actual medication, but there is so much fear and stigma still there around taking their child to a psychologist or a psychiatrist in parents, that I'll like to announce this on this platform ki we as a pediatrician can become their first help, and
Yes.
maybe we should be the first person and train ourselves to counsel the mild illnesses, which will definitely help them handle these problems in adolescence. And also we can have someone who is trained in adolescent psychiatry. Like I have got patients who are more comfortable to talk to me than they want to go to a psychiatrist. That is just because they have shown me since they were child. So this bond is something which gives advantage to us as a pediatrician. So I'll appeal to all pediatrician friends ki please do spend some time whenever you come across a adolescent who you find is actually going through a mental trouble and needs help. We can be their first guidance and be their first counselor, and definitely there are persons like Dr. Swapnajit who can help us help our adolescent who actually need clinical management. Thank you, sir.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Dr. Swapnajit, for such a lovely discussion. And we've definitely benefited by all the points discussed over here today. And now I would like to invite Dr. Shweta Nair, who's also an executive board member of Navi Mumbai IAP, and she's a developmental pediatrician herself. If you could give the formal vote of thanks, Dr. Shweta.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, Shweta.
Yes. On behalf of Navi Mumbai Academy of Pediatrics and Adolescent Health Academy, I would like to thank you all for giving your valuable time to attend today's inauguration function and interesting academic session. First and foremost, I extend my gratitude to our subject expert, Dr. Swapnajit Sahu, for his lucid presentation, explaining in detail such a vast term like anxiety and the various manifestations of it in a very complex age group. Thank you, sir, for emphasizing our role as a parent, as a teacher, and as a confidant to our child as children look up and even emulate their parents. I'm sure your talk has enriched us all about how to suspect, what to deduce, how to help and guide a child with anxiety issues. I would also like to thank Dr. Amok Shahane ma'am for smoothly moderating today's session. I would like to take this opportunity to thank our esteemed dignitaries of Adolescent Health Academy, Dr. Geeta ma'am, Dr. Preeti ma'am, Dr. Arun Sharma sir, and Dr. Tuteja sir for gracing today's occasion. Last but not the least, I'd like to thank Dr. Kalyani Patra, Dr. Shilpa Aroskar, Dr. Jitendra Gavane, Dr. Kiran Vaswani, and Dr. Satish Shahane sir for their constant guidance and support. We do have a very interesting lineup of events and activities as part of this Adolescent Week celebrations. Hope you all come in full participation and enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Shweta. I guess we can end with today's session. I've put the email ID of our Navi Mumbai AHA branch, Umang Bari Udan. So if any questions are there or anything else, any queries, you can please mail us directly. And we would definitely like to see you in the next session on Thursday at the same time, 3:30 to 5, where we'll be talking about media influence and teens. So please do join us then. Thank you so much for the patient hearing, and thank you once again. Have a great day, all of you. Bye.
Bye, man.